He is a former member of the House of Delegates. 26 years he served in there, not concurrently, and a former Deputy Revenue Secretary as well. His name is John Doyle. Good morning, John.
Good morning, everybody.
Great to have you with us, sir. A veteran of the Vietnam War as well in the U.S. Army. Now, to your left, U.S. Marine Corps veteran, Mr. Bill Kearns.
Good morning. I think this is my first time getting a co-host with you, John. So
Yeah.
I'm prepared to learn something today.
Oh, boy.
So I'm going to set the bar really high right off the bat.
Well, I did not come prepared to teach.
Well, we'll see how the 2 hours goes along.
What's the Marine Corps theme there? Adapt, overcome, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you'll have to do that today, John.
And the Army's is hooah.
Wow.
Heard, understood, accepted.
That's what that stands for?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys are oorah.
Hoorah.
Yeah.
Stands for hoorah.
Whatever.
I thought maybe it was first time you were out doing your camping there and one of those marches and you opened up your food pack and you went, ooh, that's raw.
Yeah. John's going to have to watch it because later on in the show he's going to be outnumbered.
That's right. We got another Marine coming.
Well, yeah. And here's the thing. Just remember, I was in the service back when we still had C rations.
And they are way better than MREs. I've tried both.
Yes, they are. Because I was there when we had to switch over. They didn't call them MREs at the time. They called them LRRPs, LRRP, Long Range Reconnaissance Patrol Food. And they were supposed to be superior to C rations, and no, they were not.
No, you didn't have to dehydrate or rehydrate C rations.
That's right.
Yeah.
Our guest in this segment is Tim Czaja from the Day Report Center. Tim, have you ever had an ERP, a LRP,
LRP.
a C ration, or an MRE in your day?
I actually have. I spent a few years in the Army when I was young.
Yeah.
It was a terrible tour. I was in Hawaii for a couple of years.
Toughed it out.
Wow.
Huh?
Yeah.
My brother was in the Navy. He was in Hawaii for a while. And when he came back, my mother said, how did you enjoy Hawaii? He said, I never got off the ship. She said, what happened? He said, as we were getting off the ship, I got in a fight with somebody. And so his punishment was to stay on the ship for the entire time they were in Hawaii. So that was his experience with Hawaii, was from the boat.
Way to go.
In October, we've got a big event for Tim is in charge of here in Friends of Recovery. Maybe you can tell us about that, Tim.
Yeah, the Friends of Recovery, it's a 501c3 nonprofit that was established a few years ago. A few of our community members, Dan Delier and his wife Lori, Shelley Shoppert, Virginia Sign, Doug Copenhaver, who's not as involved now as he's moved to his Pocahontas County home. But they started a 501c3 to assist individuals that are involved in our program with getting back on their feet. The average person, if they fall on hard times, they've got a huge support system surrounding them. They've got family, they've got friends who would be more than willing to help them out. Well, people involved in our programs are people who have gotten into serious legal issues because of having drug problems, and one of the consequences of addiction is that social relationships are severed, family relationships are pretty torn apart. So these folks don't have a support system as they're trying to get back on their feet, and a lot of them, they're doing very well in our programs. They're doing everything that they can to reestablish themselves, but everything is really expensive. And in spite of their best efforts, they run into these obstacles. So the purpose of the Friends of Recovery committee is to raise funds to allow us to assist some of these folks when they do run into roadblocks. So we've used the funds for some rental assistance to cover electric bills. We've helped people buy steel-toe boots because they need boots to work.
Practical things.
Yes.
Yeah, practical things.
Yes, and we don't hand out money. The staff who are involved in making these decisions meet the needs themselves. We don't just give cash to participants, but we assist with covering some of those costs, and it's really, really helpful. I've talked with some folks throughout the state in different places, and they're interested in seeing if they can set something like that up themselves. Because, I mean, people get into legal trouble. They're required to go to our programs. They're trying to just live and meet these needs, and they can't. So what do some of them do? If they can't meet these needs, they resort to old habits. They say, screw it. Might as well go get high, get drunk, try and numb the pain of their situation. So it's really important and good work.
October 11 is the date for this.
October 11th will be our third annual dinner. It'll be held at the Holiday Inn. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. Tickets are available. We're looking for sponsorships. WVU Medicine has been our platinum sponsor. This will be their third year. Skinner Law has been a silver sponsor for the last couple of years and will be again this year. And there's a variety of other businesses in the community that have provided sponsorships. We're very thankful. At the dinner, if you attend, you'll hear some testimonies from a couple of our program participants, folks that have been helped with these funds. We've had keynote speakers the last couple of years. Supreme Court Justice Hutchison came and spoke last year. At the time, Prosecutor Delegati, now Circuit Court Judge Delegati, spoke. This year, we're going to have Bill's actually been involved. Bill provided our invocation for us. This year, we're going to have a bit of a panel discussion. It's evident to me that there are a lot of people in our community who are interested and want to support the work, but don't necessarily completely understand everything that happens behind the scenes. So we want to have maybe 4 of us up there who can have some opportunity to give more explanation to our programs and what individuals experience when they're involved in our programs, and answer questions from the audience.
Tim, just to say, I haven't been to the Berkeley County one, but my wife is on the board of directors of a similar organization where we live in Frederick. And I've been to these 2 of the dinners. I think they've had 3 of them. I think I've been able to make 2 of those. And they are so inspiring when you hear the stories of people who have been through it and come out the other end successfully. And they were in a building where the folks who ran the building weren't sure they wanted to extend the rental agreement for these kinds of people. So they invited them to the dinner. And after they saw the work that was being done and they heard the testimonies of the people and what these programs meant to them, they gave them like a 3-year extension. They had a perception of what this was. Then they got the reality of what it was firsthand, and it totally changed their opinion of the work that was being done and the people that were involved who were getting help.
Yeah. You might remember some years back, even before the Day Report Center was established, the county commission, there was conversation about turning that Baltimore Street property into a residential treatment facility, and they got some pushback from the community because of the same reason.
Yeah, more than some.
They didn't want those people around.
Yeah.
I would encourage those folks, if they feel that they don't want, businesses like that being run in the county, to attend this event. Listen to some of the stories. These are human beings that, the large majority of people involved in our programs, in fact, I would even say all of them, these aren't people who are criminals in their hearts. They're people that develop substance abuse problems for a variety of different reasons, and once they were enslaved to that addiction, they committed crimes to support their habit. Mm-hmm. There's no one involved in our programs who are violent offenders or people who woke up and said, I'm going to go out and commit crimes today. Addiction is one of those things that's it's very difficult to explain how it can really enslave a person and really change who they are and bring them to a place where they start doing things that they would not dream of doing to support that habit.
Yeah, we can just isolate these folks and say that they're addicts, they're worthless, I don't want them around, or we can help these folks find their way back and make them into productive members of society again, and that seems to me to be the better outcome.
Oh my! Prior to the Day Report Center being an option, that's what we did. We just incarcerated these folks for petty larceny and possession, and incarceration is very expensive, and the taxpayers have to foot that bill. And it's also not at all helpful. It doesn't address the problem.
Right.
The jail's filled with drugs. They get arrested. They go to the jail. They get high. They get released. They go get high. Now they're given an opportunity to live in the community with strict supervision and accountability. They're not being given a free pass. They committed a crime and they need to be held accountable to that. But this is really the smart way to address the problem. It's far cheaper for the community and for the taxpayers, and it's just better for the community. It gives them an opportunity to get back on their feet, clear their vision. People, I've said this before, I probably said it on this show before, people who are enslaved to addiction do not like their condition. They do not want to be addicted to drugs. They want to be able to enjoy a Friday evening dinner with their family. They want to be able to go to the park. They want to be able to go on vacations. They want to be able to go fishing. They don't like their condition. They want to be free of it. They just don't know how to get free. So our programs, that's what we do. We assist them.
How do you get tickets for October 11?
Tickets can be purchased. So there's let me think. Friends of Recovery 2023 is a Facebook page. I think it's called Friends of Recovery 2023 Berkeley County, I believe. And then there's an email address you can email, friendsofrecovery2023@gmail.com. You can reach out to me. I can direct you. I can be reached there at the Day Report Center. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, I think. Any of the Friends of Recovery members, Virginia Sign, Shelley Shoppert, Dan and Lori Delier, reach out to them. You can get tickets from them. Tickets are $60 a piece. Sponsorships provide tickets. We're looking for sponsors. There's another thing that we do at the event. We have some silent auction items that we provide for folks, and we actually have a live auction. There's 4 or 5 items that will be auctioned off. One of them is a hog donation. One of them is a week at a Myrtle Beach house. One of them, we're hoping to have a live auction item that, because the Washington Redskins, yes, I said Redskins, have done so well last year, and there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of primetime games that they're involved in this year. We're looking for a sponsor that will purchase 4 tickets to a home game that's after our event, any game after our event, after October 11th. And we're going to put those tickets together with some Redskins merchandise, and have that as a live auction item. We're hoping. Yeah.
So Tim, I want to go back to and echo something you had said, and I couldn't put it any more clear than what you did. If someone doesn't have any idea of what these people go through from their addiction, you need to come to this event. I've been honored to be there for the last couple of years, which you've had it for 2 years previously. So I've been honored to be able to be there and to hear the stories from the participants in the program that you have at the Day Report Center. And it's such an eye-opener to hear where these people were, where these people are now, and to what they went through with their life, what they lost, and many have lost everything, and then they rebound. They went back to school. They achieved a sustainable job. It's just absolutely incredible. I mean, you're going to get a good meal as well while at the event, and the fun times of the silent auction and the competitiveness, and so it's a great evening event to have. So I'm glad you're continuing to do this, because I know the money is well spent. It's well invested in people's lives that matter. What is the normal? From this event? How much funds do you usually receive after the end of all your expenses paid for the evening?
Both the first and second year. I think the first year they raised approximately $40,000. Last year it was closer to $47,000. This year, and this is only July 24th, we're a little over $15,000 already in sponsorships, and I'm just tickled to death with that. When this was kind of first thought about, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, truth be told, I would have been tickled if we raised $5,000. Mm-hmm. So my expectations were far exceeded. I'm just so thankful to so many people in this community that believe in the cause. And
if memory serves, year one planning for the first one, not everyone was on board with it. So you had some hurdles you had to overcome, but it didn't stop you.
Yeah, we pressed on. really, all credit goes to the committee members who I mean, they're investing. They're not getting paid. They're investing their time, and they're dealing with all of the paperwork involved and responding to the IRS to get the 501c3 status and all that. And so I really appreciate them.
Mr. Doyle.
You said something that I've, for a long time, when you talk about folks that we lock up who are in the situation that brings them to the Day Report Center. For many years, I have accepted the idea that we should be locking up people we're afraid of, not just people we're mad at. Because when we lock up people we're mad at, there are two possible results. One is it costs us money that we don't need to be spending. And secondly, we risk, and sometimes this happens, turning people we're mad at into people we're afraid of. So I think you're absolutely right about that.
Thank you.
Tim, there was a memo put out statewide from one of the department secretaries in regards to Medicare or Medicaid billing with drug testing. Could you shed some light on that and the effect it would have on the Berkeley County Health Department, the Day Report Center? And maybe, Bill, you can chime in with the health department angle on this. Tim, go ahead and go first.
Yeah, people who are involved in abuse and neglect cases, and I don't know the number, there's many through the state. They're required to go. These are people who, because of drug problems, their children have been removed from their homes. In order for them to be reunified with their children, they have to go through a period of time where they're involved in treatment and drug screening in the community, and this is ordered by the courts. Day Report Centers throughout the state do the majority of this work, provide the treatment and do the drug screening for these folks. And they're required to drug screen 3 times per week. So there's cost involved there. And if they're involved in abuse and neglect cases, the Day Report Centers can send a monthly invoice to the state for payment for those services. So it's my understanding that 1 or 2 Day Report Centers throughout the state were charging really high fees, well above Medicaid rates. So our legislature this past session passed a bill, Senate Bill 128, and the bill simply states that providers cannot charge in excess of Medicaid rates for services, which is perfectly acceptable and perfectly appropriate in my opinion. Well, the department's response, a memo was circulated it was signed by Cabinet Secretary Alex Mayer, and it's dated June 27th. And the memo states that providers, in order for the department to pay for services, the providers must A, enroll with Medicaid and the MCOs, and B, submit all claims, including drug screening, through Medicaid for payment before invoicing the department if payment is denied by Medicaid. Well, there are serious implications for most Day Report Centers throughout the state as a result of that memo. Most Day Report Centers are not able to become enrolled with Medicaid. There are currently 3 in the state who are able to bill Medicaid for treatment services. We happen to be one of them. We can bill for treatment services as a licensed behavioral health center. It took us a year to become licensed, and it took about another 6 months to become credentialed with the MCOs to even be able to bill for treatment services. Most Day Report Centers don't have facilities that would even meet Medicaid requirements. They'd have to have major renovations done to their facilities. County commissions don't have the money to spend on that sort of work. That's A. B, it takes a long time. You have to have a person on your staff who allows their license to be leveraged for Medicaid billing, either a licensed professional counselor or a licensed independent clinical social worker, and there's a cost that comes there. A lot of Day Report Centers are run by 2 or 3 people. So that's A, but that only allows you to bill for some treatment services, individual counseling, group counseling, peer recovery support services, and that's about it. Billing for drug screening, Medicaid will only cover the cost of drug screening if it's done under medical necessity, ordered by a physician or a PA or a nurse practitioner or something like that, and they'll only cover the cost of 2 per month.
And you do 3 per week?
3 per week, but it's not under medical necessity. This is court-ordered drug screening as part of an improvement period because of a previous substance abuse issue. So the directive is it can't be met, and most day report centers in the state, if they're not getting paid by the department to sustain the work that they're doing, they can't perform the work. So if the memo literally was executed, there would be, I'm going to take a guess here, a couple thousand people in the state who now are not being supervised via drug screening because there's no method for them to be paid, and day report centers will stop. So I've attempted to get in contact with the cabinet secretary to talk with him myself and just kind of explain the background, because it appears that he doesn't understand what's involved, and that may be no fault of his own. His thinking is probably, let's first try and get them to tap Medicaid for these dollars before the state's on the hook for payment. And I understand that line of thinking, but it can't be done. We're a licensed behavioral health center. We're the largest in the state. We can't bill for drug screening. So if the state's not going to cover the cost, we're not going to provide the service. And that there's a lot of impact that will be seen as a result.
Bill, does that affect the health department too?
Not really. We don't perform those services at the health department. We get affected by Medicaid cuts otherwise through other programs that we do, but with our harm reduction clinic, everything within those clinic and hours are covered under, for the health department staff, are covered under a grant that we write every year, and that works in conjunction with the Day Report Center. It's one of the great meshes that we have through our quick response team and harm reduction. We work well together, so it doesn't affect us for that amount because we don't receive funds for that. But Tim, I'm gonna guess that the reason is, you said there's only a handful of day report centers across the state, so the costs are not standardized. So what's going to be charged in Berkeley County is not consistent with what's going to be charged in the other counties. So that a lot of times that gets into an area where if you're not consistent across the state, it's going to make some eyebrows of the legislators raise. And if they see one of them's really trying to make a huge bundle of funds and the other ones are just trying to satisfy cost, they're going to say, well, okay, this isn't consistent, we're just going to stop it.
Yes.
And I think that's where you're at.
Got about 30 seconds for you to answer that and close it up. Tim.
Yes, there are 5 of us who have met, 5 DRC directors. I'm one of them who have met recently. We'd like to come up with some numbers that we can recommend to all the other DRC directors so that we can all be on the same page in regard to billing. The Medicaid rates more than cover cost. So DRC directors that want to charge above those rates, come on. We can't require it, obviously, but we can recommend it.
Tim, thanks for dropping by, and best of luck with the October 11 event for the Friends of Recovery.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.